Heidi, this term democratization that we've discussed for this particular session, any thoughts in terms of how that particular concept is connecting to this?
Well, for me, this means also access, because it's a given that anyone can now access internet all the time, and I think that's simply not true. And this means exclusion right away. And whether this is true for social groups of kids, of older people, who has a 5G connection all the time, how many megabytes do you have? Can you watch something? How quickly can you access? Are you in the countryside? Are you in the urban areas? So there is a big distinction to make in terms of access, digital content. So it's a way that is not very equal yet. Also, we have huge companies that own major parts of the digital space around the world, but they are not accessible everywhere. So Zoom and Google are censored in various areas. And I think, so this is something to consider. How can we make sure that this is possible? And let me just react to this one comment, because obviously there are various layers also on how to look at this subject. And I think it's always good to defend the ideal world that we would like to live in, create, work with, considering all the changes that come. But we are living in a very tough economic system as well, and our industry is part of those kind of very powerful and competitive industries that are all financed by budgets. And also, for example, it's a reality. That's why I took this example with Netflix. In the UK, the drama schools are fighting with Netflix because all the talents that are nourished there to go to a theater, they are just hired by Netflix. So it's Netflix that benefits from theater, where all the money has been invested in, but they're not benefiting from, they cannot harvest in a way. And this is also true for the coders, like all the skilled people. Are they going to come and work in theaters? No, it's not as attractive there, because in the gaming industry or in other industries, the conditions are much more interesting. So this is a way as well, where do we position ourselves? And again, the time span that we have to speak to those people also in the end.
Thank you, Heidi. Taavet, from your perspective, both, let's say, being on multiple sides, director, but also researcher, any additions with regards to this multiple contexts?
There's like so many topics actually, like in the same situation. I was thinking about two things again. One is the audience engagement. That if we talk about audience engagement, we like to talk like it's something binary. There's like engaging or not engaging. And if one hand is physical contact, being in the same room and actually sharing really the same moment, I think this is like an ultimate. It's just like one, it can't be more than that. But the other side is, I think it's a grayscale. Like you can listen radio and cook, and it doesn't mean that you don't care about this music or that podcast. It's just you little less. It's something, maybe to comparison, what comes to my head would be, if you like driving cars, then you need to buy BMW. This is super car. But if you want to get from one place to another, you could also use electric scooter. Like maybe the online performance could be electric scooter rather than a car. It doesn't compete with a car. And that's the reason that comes to the next thought, that why I stopped after the first year. When me and Electronica, this company, were working with digital theater and development of digital theater in Estonia. We stopped using word theater in that combination, and I'm using live performing arts or like experimental live mediated, not like I come up with something. But because like the theater, it's so rich in connotations that there's will immediately this this attack that this is not the theater, and it's right. It is not. But maybe we just don't. Sorry, I just keep on talking now. But maybe we just don't know how to make good online performances yet, because the scene is under, and this is another topic. The scene doesn't exist.
Yeah, thank you. We are coming close to the end, to the top of the hour, but I would like to open up the opportunity for anyone from the audience to ask a question. And if it could actually be a question for any of our panelists. So I'm now starting to look around here in the audience. Is there anyone who has a question for any of our panelists? There's somebody down here. Just one moment. I have to share my microphone.
Yeah, I was thinking, is there something that you're afraid of? Like a dark side of development that might be possible, that you are that you have in the background of your head, and you say, "Aha, that's something that we have to avoid." It's open to everybody.
I have an answer to that I would like to formulate. I think here again, what we need to keep in mind is that the stories rule. And not a discussion of whether to involve technology or not, not whether we are in an attention economy or not what the value is of one medium versus the other. I think the dark side of all this is that we lose ourselves in those discussions and we don't listen to the stories that are actually told.
Thank you. Anyone else from the
Yeah,
panel?
I believe the dark side is already here. We're in the middle of the dark side, and part of the issues that we're dealing with in regards of democracy and racism and all these issues that are taking over the internet, they're already there. I think we were all very naive in the beginning when it came that it was going to promote democracy. I think it's actually destroying democracy, because narrative is, I think often in our liberal mind, we think that narrative is something that connects to what the stories and the different stories. But conspiracy theories are also narratives, and they're fantastic for theatrical productions. If you want to use them, you can make great satires out of them. But they're dangerous, and they're flooding us much more than in the time, because we're trying to do narratives and work on stages while other people are spending lots and lots of hours spreading all this poison through the internet, and it's reaching people close to me now. So it's not like a small minority. I know people who I've grown up with, who I went to university with, who believe these things, and they are really transforming the world at a pace where we cannot even stop it. So I believe the dark side is already here, and I think we were very naive in the beginning that internet was going to be something positive for our democracies.
Thank you. Another, Taavet?
Yeah, I would like to add maybe that if I think in the context of online performances, online performing arts, maybe in any online art, the darkness is honesty, what it has. I've seen with my own eyes how in an online performance, 3,500 audience members started to watch, and 2,500 left within the first 10 minutes. And this was a signal for the director. We didn't tell it to the director, no. But like it was because I was looking for stats. We were running this like platform, and it's something we can learn. And that's a signal he did something wrong with onboarding, like when he made decisions like how to start the performance. Like so, it is honest in a way.
Thank you.
Can we have a question for the audience?
Sure.
How many people watch online live streams of theater performances? How many people watch online performances that are made for online? Okay, so we have a way to go. There's a potential audience out there.
Thank you. We are coming to the top of the hour, and I've been told that because there's quite a bit of preparation for the performance that's coming later, an hour later, we're going to have to wrap up. So apologies that we're not going to have the opportunity to have other questions, but if there were some burning questions, I'm assuming that after this session we will have the opportunity for you to approach any of the panelists or any of the speakers. Certainly from my side, thank you very much for taking the time. It's been an absolute pleasure to come from northern Finland to join the session today and to learn that I think there's an awful lot of other long distances that some of the audience have been here to come to join us today as well. To wrap up, I wanted to ask a bit of a rapid final if possible, one sentence statement to leave with the audience as we wrap up today. So maybe Airan, if I can start with you, just a quick. I'll try to one sentence if possible.
German has very long sentences, so it's no problem.
Yeah, final wrap-up statement to share?
Oh, I thought you were going to ask a question.
No, so if you, what would you like to leave with the audience today as we wrap up?
Yeah, that even though there's a dark side, we shouldn't be afraid of it, and that we, as theater often does, use technology also to tell the narratives and the stories, but do it in such a way that makes sense, where technology does not overwhelm theater, but is part of the telling of the story, and that it makes sense to use it.
Thank you. Taavet?
I'm watching at home expensive online theater production with 50 other members of audience, and my son, 16-year-old son, is in the next room and watching League of Legends random game with 1 million online viewers. So I think there is a possibility to reach with quality online entertainment with those guys. So, what a sentence, huh?
Thank you, Taavet. Alex?
Share your privilege and see which stories are untold, and listen to those. Listen to the ones that make you uncomfortable, whether it's in a digital space or in the theater.
Thank you. Yeah. Heidi?
Yes, and I would conclude in saying digital is a buzzword, but we have the means really to use it in a wise way. And there are very good benefits for our way of working. And we have, like I said earlier, the power to collaborate, to find those benefits in a targeted way, so it makes sense for one performance, maybe not for another. It reaches the audiences, but it makes, in the end, better theater. And competes with your son.
Thank you very much to all the panelists, Vanessa as well, for organizing this opportunity. And thank you to everyone in the audience. We certainly encourage you to continue with this dialogue. The privilege I have coordinating the Acute project over the next 4 years. Certainly these kind of discussions, we hope to be part of that particular project. So again, thank you everyone for joining us. And I think in an hour, we will have the performance taking place. So certainly if you're interested, stick around. Thank you, everyone.